And you think, do you know, I hope you blow up like a barrage balloon. You know, I've had enough of it. I've had enough of it. People
in 300 yards, slide right onto causeway A312.
Oh, I knew I forgot to do something. Sorry, I forgot to do my injection. Taffy Nige says, warm here in Pontyclean. He has to write it down as Pontyclean because he knows I get it wrong. The window's open, making the most of it all. Those wrestlers.
Take the next right onto causeway A312.
Nana used to love it. Have you got a picture of Kendo Nagasaki? You must put it up there. I can't remember what his real name was, but he was, again...
Continue on A312 for 1 mile.
When he came on stage, and I just used to, and he was good because he never spoke. He never, have you found him? Kendo, K-E-N-D-O, just spell everything for him. Nagasaki, N-A-G-A, you know, that bit. In fact, you probably put in Kendo, N-A-G, and it'll find it, I should imagine. But he didn't... Oh, he's taken the mask off. There we go. He revealed. Oh, he's bisexual as well now. He's revealed. Good Lord above. And but he used to wear this mask, and I don't think he was ever interviewed with him talking. I don't think so. But he used to keep the mask on. He used to look quite frightening. Oh, he's died. So, I get them all on this program. Honestly, 1 minute they're alive, the next minute they've gone. Do you know what I watched the other day and I found it really good? It was. Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi in that, what was the film? It was, they made about 3 or 4 films. Karate Kid, but it was the one with the girl in it. And so she was very good, and Mr. Miyagi was in it as well. I liked him a lot. Oh, Julie-san, never fight, never. And he was brilliant. He was absolutely. I saw him in a couple of other films. I remember thinking, I like you a lot, and then he passed on. But I like Karate Kid. I thought they were very good. Steve, the longest-serving soap actor was June Spencer, who played Peggy Archer. I know. Retired at the age of 103. And Saturday afternoon, says Kevin the Milkman, it was wrestling at 4 p.m. That was followed by the nation's dads checking the football pools coupons. They used to put up all the results. You know, Brighton, Hove and Wanderers 3, Leicester City 2. Oh, he's not dead. He's come back to life again. It's always unbelievable, honestly, these people on this programme. It's like Lazarus. It's like Lazarus, he's come back. But you know, they started a thing the other day. Was it the other day, the other week, about a well-known actor? And they said, oh, it's so sad he's passed away. And I suddenly realised people put these things on the internet. And then before you know where you are, it sort of spreads. And his name's Peter Thornley. Is it? Sorry, Peter. He's 80. Bless your heart. But it's a shock if you're listening. I'm saying, oh, wait a minute, somebody's just told me I'm dead. I did that once actually on air. Not dead, but I announced that a stage show in London was closing because I'd heard that it was closing. So I mentioned it on air. And somebody from the cast phoned up and said, no, we're not. Unfortunately, they were, but they hadn't been told. Which was even more embarrassing. Even more embarrassing. So, Kevin the Milkman, yeah, obviously you never won the football pools. When do you think the football pools, you know, if you got a little 300,000 on that, you thought you'd arrived. Goodness gracious me. And Johnny in Brighton says, I remember owning the first 20 issues of the comic 2000 AD. I wish I still had them. Yes. And Mickey says,
in a quarter of a mile of Wagoners Roundabout, take the second exit onto the Parkway A312.
That's what I liked about them. They were all characters. Another picture of James Arch. He's in Marbella. And he's off running again, but he swings them roundabouts. I don't know what he does for a living. No idea. And Gary Neville, apparently he's a footballer, could face up to 2 years in prison over an Instagram message he posted during Ryan Giggs' trial. The case was halted for 50 minutes while lawyers discussed the potential impact of the post with the judge. Because you can't do things like that. But anyway, it's contempt. Interestingly enough, that trial's coming back again, but they don't know when, because the jury couldn't reach a verdict, so they were dismissed, even though they lost one. And
exit the roundabout onto the Parkway.
So they think it could be another year.
Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile.
If you're going to Poundland and the pound shops, most of the food and drink over a pound is going up 40%. 40%. And you heard earlier on, or you might not have heard earlier on, how much was that chef's lecky bills going up to? It was some horrendous amount of money. This is just to put it in context to you. This is Tom Kerridge. Tom £140,000 a year to £420,000 for the year. Nearly £500,000. This is Tom Kerridge. He thinks, and in fact I've said it before, that loads of places are going to be closing. They can't afford to keep going. I mean, I found it expensive enough. If you go out for Christmas dinner in a place now, you're paying on average £60 for Christmas dinner, which is, you know, and you have to order it so far in advance. You have to decide back in sort of April what you want to be eating. And I think most of those places won't be able to manage it because they're going to have to make it over £150 to, you know, if you want to go out for Christmas. Like for some people, this will not be a problem, but for a lot of people, it's going to be a huge, huge problem. Let's get the news headline, shall we? Holly Harris.
A £326 cost of living payment is being made to 1 million households today. It's the first of two government payments to help those claiming tax credits cope with increasing gas and electricity costs. The union group, the TUC, says it goes nowhere near far enough. Donald Trump's son-in-law and advisor, Jared Kushner, has put the FBI raid of the former US president's home down to simply an issue with paperwork. Investigators are looking into photographs which appear to suggest classified documents were found at his Florida estate. A postal ballot of Conservative Party members to choose the next Prime Minister closes at 5 p.m. today. The winner, either Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak, will be announced on Monday. The weather, sunny spells at times for all, but also some showers and longer spells of rain developing in the northwest, and the risk of thunderstorms.
In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the second exit onto the M4 slip road to Heathrow Airport, M25.
Coming up in half an hour with Nick Ferrari at breakfast, after the IMF revealed that the energy crisis will affect British households more than any other country in Western Europe, Nick will examine who shoulders the blame for the UK's vulnerability. He'll also investigate the NHS staffing crisis, and with over 130,000 vacancies existing in the health service, ask why nobody wants to work there. And as the government states it could introduce mandatory efficiency labels on household appliances to help conserve water, Nick will debate whether this is really the best way forward. All of that and more with Nick Ferrari at breakfast this morning from 7 here on LBC.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast, weekday mornings from 7.
Exit the roundabout onto the slip road.
If you've had a coffee...
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
It could be a warning sign. A cough you just can't shake off could be a sign of cancer. It's probably nothing serious, but finding cancer early makes it more treatable. Your NHS wants to see you. Contact your GP practice. Help us help you.
I'm a scientist searching for sustainable solutions.
And I'm Grace, and I'm doing my bit for the planet from my driveway. I swapped to an electric car to help reduce air pollution. E.ON took care of everything, from helping me to choose the right home charger.
Continue on M4 for 3 miles.
E.ON, taking charge of electric charging, taking action for climate. Visit eonenergy.com to find out more. Property eligibility, regional restrictions and T's and C's apply.
The new iconic Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 is now available at Vodafone with an amazing deal. You can save up to £600 with unbeatable trade-in. Just trade in an eligible device using our trade-in tool. And our trade-in price won't be beaten by any of the network standard prices. Now available with Vodafone Evo. Go online or in store. Vodafone.
Ends 23rd of September. Trade-in price per eligible device and working condition versus other mobile networks excluding promos. Terms, checks and saving info at vodafone.co.uk/trading.
Sending business packages, urgent documents or gifts across the UK or worldwide? Keep it local with the professionals at mailboxes, etc. We'll choose the best carrier for your parcel, its value and destination, and help with packing, tracking and paperwork too. To find your nearest store, visit mbe.co.uk and see how mailboxes, etc. can make courier and parcel delivery easier for you. People possible.
This is LBC with Steve Allen.
Morning, former Tory Minister Edwina Currie. Remember Edwina Currie, for goodness sake? She blasted Martin Lewis, money guru. Wonder why? Because he called the cost of living crisis a catastrophe. Well, it is. We're not going to disagree with him at all. She said the finance expert should be advising people how to reduce the impact on their families. But Martin Lewis says it's a catastrophe, Edwina. And a supporter tweeted, he's been advising people for years, you daft old bat. a catastrophe. He's been saying, brace yourself. You won't have seen bills like this. If Tom Kerridge has gone from 60,000 to 420,000, you're going to see the high streets, shops closing left, right, and centre. Those bills are going to come in. They go close, get the heck out as quick as possible. And it's going to be, I mean, I don't know what's going to be left on the high street. To be honest, if there's pubs on the high street, they can't be surviving. They'll never afford to pay it. We have a number of pubs, whether or not you sort of close it and then it bounces back some years later, I've got no idea. I've really got no idea. I mean, people are going to be looking at all sorts of things. I think people are going, oh, let's go and have a spend up before we actually get these bills in. And I'm thinking, no, don't. Wait till you paid the bills, then have the spend up. He says, that's what Martin Lewis says, with bills going up so much, there's only so much people can do without. You know, they can do without more help. They don't need
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to stay on M4.
Bills down, and that's what he does. That's what he does. He says this is the. If you choose not to follow his advice, then that's your business. You can't make somebody do something. Pablo says, will you be watching The Masked Dancer? No, really. I'm fed up with this rubbish on the television. Honestly, they've got it on. It's on. American.
Keep right to stay on M4.
Yeah, I should be the wrestling fan, banging the top of the television, going, get off! Getting very, very sort of angry about the whole thing. So here's a beer drinker, and sitting on the roof of his local pub in a 2-hour standoff over the hike in the price of his pint. Now this is in Lincolnshire. Now Lincolnshire is cheap. Property in Lincolnshire is cheap. You can, you know, if you were spending 500,000 in Lincolnshire, you get a super duper property. Really, it's cheap. But anyway, he was sent over the edge. I mean, I couldn't believe this one either. I mean, perhaps he's missing something like a brain cell. So they had to close all the roads off for 2 hours. How much is his pint going up for next week? 20 pence. Going up 20 pence, so it will be £3.40 for a pint. Listen, pal, you want to come and live in London? £3.40. You can't get a packet of nuts for £3.40. We're charging £6 a pint down here, mate. And you're complaining about that, so you sit on the roof. Pub owner said he just had a meltdown over the possibility of the prices going up. That's just the start of it. You wait till they actually close the pub. That'll be the next thing. You're complaining about 20 pence. Blimey. I'd start worrying. I would start worrying major times. So these 4 lost episodes of Till Death Us Do Part, I wonder whether or not they're going to be sort of issued with a warning. It starts Till Death Us Do Part. This was with Alf Garnett, Warren Mitchell, who was the bigoted racist. Yeah, but there's bound to be a warning. He was a staunch conservative, and he supported West Ham, and he made his politically incorrect catchphrase, "You silly moo," which was to his wife, who was played by Dandy Nichols, and then one of the children was Eunice Stubbs, and then there was another bloke, and I can't remember what his name was now, but he became fairly famous, Anthony Booth. He was a social layabout who frequently locked horns with him, and Anthony Booth, yeah, Sherry Blair's dad, went on to marry a woman out of Coronation Street, Pat Phoenix. There were 7 series.
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to stay on M4.
As well, they will include 4 stories which were believed to have been lost since the 1960s. So there you go. The channel has snapped them up and been broadcasting more than 80 episodes of these things. You've been able to buy them for ages. They've been on DVD. I can't remember watching it. I interviewed
Keep
him.
right to stay on M4.
And he was very, very anti-smoking. Very, very. I don't think it would have aged very well, that one, because it was all set in his sitting room.
Continue on M4 for 4 miles.
He would talk like that. It was very sort of. There was no hiding it, no hiding anything at all. He was supposed to epitomise, you know, what the other side of the coin would be, which was interesting. Another one here. Oh, I love orangutans. I don't think I'd want one, but they do look very cute when they're photographed. Yeah, they've got a zoo in Jakarta, Indonesia. They were playing sunbathing and eating. And so somebody waited for this right moment when the little baby orangutan, very cheeky, sort of, you know, pressed up against its mum and sort of, it was very cute. They look very, they get abandoned, don't they? They get really abandoned. Oh God, this is rubbish, isn't it? This is the giant toilet brush. It's 82 foot tall. It's near Dundas Castle in Edinburgh. It's been dubbed, this erection, God's Lavvy brush. It's supposed to look like a tree to hide the fact that it's a phone company trying to disguise it as a tree and failing miserably. Well, if they hadn't told us, I wouldn't know. But on the other hand, what's the matter with the phone mast? Got everything else. Makes perfect sense. Just show them it's a phone mast. It it different colours, camouflage it, make it look a little bit better. And at least 24 videos of UFOs are being secretly held by the US government. They relate to 19 separate sightings in the last 6 months. The Pentagon has refused to release the material, so of course all those Looney Tunes people absolutely love it. This proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that UFOs have visited our country. The former US governor analyst Malik von Rennenkampf said the Pentagon must abide by its emphatic commitments to transparency and release all such UFO footage. Doesn't exist, lovely. It doesn't. I don't want to break your little heart this morning and make you burst into tears, but they don't exist, okay? There's no little spaceships that are round and come down with flashing light and pick up two old biddies in Arkansas and take them off to another planet and experiment on them. It doesn't happen, okay? It was only at the cinema, okay? So try not to get too overexcited by it. Steve, I'm still in Corfu, says Sidcup Julie, and it's been glorious weather for the last 9 days, except today. Pouring with rain, so I've stuck you under the umbrella.
In 2 miles, at junction 6, take the A355 exit to Slough Central.
We never did win the pools. Dad would take himself off to the pub for the rest of Saturday evening to drown his sorrows. That was his excuse. Yes, people sat down and they would pick up and do the pools. You know, and check it out. I mean, you could win. I forget what the maximum was on the pools, but I mean, if you won 50,000 in those days, you were set up for life. So when Viv Nicholson won 152,000, I think, it was a case of she was able to buy houses, cars, husbands, not died mysteriously. You'd always believe they were Russian. But it's interesting, we were thinking about that Russian thing. This person who was anti-Putin, he fell out of a hospital window and died. He's the 10th anti-Putin person. But ironically, in a lot of the cases, the families of these people seem to have been killed as well. It's all very odd. There you go. The National Lottery's launch killed the football pools. A syndicate won in '94 £2,924, 622 pence. 2,920. Was it two? It's not 2 million, is it? 2 million. I know. I think it's hardly worth doing. 2,924,000. That was a syndicate, but the lottery was offering 5 million. So of course, gradually the pools, Vernon's, and Littlewoods and things like that just disappeared. The lottery was easy to understand. I never understood the pools. And Spot the Ball defeated me completely. Not only was the prize bigger on the National Lottery and the lottery easier to understand, it wasn't actually linked to football in any way, so more people played it without worrying about a sport they didn't understand.
In a quarter of a mile, at junction 6, take the A355 exit to Slough Central.
Viv Nicholson, the woman who said I'm going to spend, who won about £152,000. She'd never actually stayed in a London hotel before. Like, they didn't have the money. You know, she was just a working class woman. Didn't have the money. I don't know whether...
Exit at junction 6.
All you had to do was put a cross in. It had to be that the middle of your cross was exactly the position of spotting the ball. It was a bit complicated.
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the 3rd exit onto Tons Lane, A355.
You had to identify where the football was in the picture. It was an actual action shot of a game. This is Maxwell. And if they got it right, they'd win £1 million. But Mr. Greenslade, is this Roy Greenslade? Yeah, he took aside the promotions manager and myself, and he said, between you, I want you to make sure nobody can win £1 million. And I thought, look, no one believes they're going to win these games anyway, and I agreed to do it. So for weeks, we put the ball in such a place that nobody could stand a chance of winning. Because it was always a goal or something like that, and you go, well, it's obviously going to be heading in this direction, and it turned out it was somewhere completely different. So Maxwell tried to rig it, not Roy Greenslade. But didn't they do as well? But wasn't the bingo game, one of them was fixed. They were controlled bingo games. Bingo cards were everywhere. We used to have a security man. He used to have 20 of them lined up. You used to get them free in the papers, and they would print the bingo numbers, but it was a controlled game. They decided... Exit the roundabout onto Tons Lane. ...that you needed to win. And I think, I might be wrong, but I'm sure the Daily Mail had a bingo game. Everybody did it. Everybody did it. Everybody was playing bingo. We went bingo mad. And I think they had 60,000 winners because they printed the winning numbers too early. They should have done it much later, but they didn't. They did it too early, so consequently everybody won. And people were going, I think I won.
In a quarter of a mile, turn left towards Sippenham Lane.
It was all over the place. It really was, but we became bingo mad, and I forget who it was who introduced bingo. I think he's the former editor in Fleet Street. He used to do they mean me? They surely do, Derek Jameson. Remember Derek Jameson? Him and his wife, he turned up on radio and television. He was a bit like that. He introduced us to bingo in this country. Not that we didn't know what bingo was, but we'd never done it in the papers. And people were collecting the bingo cards, so they thought the more you had, and every time you saw the number coming, you'd cross it off. Cross it off. Fabulous stuff. Fabulous times. Very exciting. Not the same now, is it really? Not the same at all. It's 6:45.
Turn left towards Sydenham Lane.
With Holly Harris.
The TUC claims payments of more than £300 today for people on tax credits don't go far enough to cope with the cost of living crisis.
Continue for 1.5 miles.
Jared Kushner claims the FBI raid of the former US president's home was simply an issue with paperwork. The British Chamber of Commerce is predicting the UK will enter recession before the end of this year. The weather warm with a mix of sunny spells and showers, a high of 26 Celsius.
LBC Travel, I'm Anne-Marie Walsh. There are delays on the M25 clockwise this morning. It's slow moving towards the QE2 bridge after a breakdown earlier. All lanes have now reopened. In Shepherd's Bush on Holland Road northbound, there's been an accident at the Holland Park roundabout. One lane is closed for recovery work. The High Street in Enfield is closed in both directions between Nags Head Road and Garfield Road for roadworks. And in Greenwich, it's already looking slow on the A102 northbound. That's heading towards the Blackwall Tunnel. There are delays on the A13 into town from Rainham towards Lodge Avenue. On the tubes, there's no service on the Metropolitan line between Moorgate and Aldgate. And on the trains, London Overground have no service between Gospel Oak and Stratford.
This is LBC.
Hazard avoidance. It's a big part of driving. A runaway piano! But even if you're a great driver like me, there are certain hazards that are outside of your control. 1 minute you're driving along, the next you've hit a pothole and your exhaust is halfway down the street. At Direct Line, we do things differently. We don't think you should lose your no-claim discount when we know you've done nothing wrong.